Okay, the top number of the fraction is called the numerator. The bottom number of the fraction is called the denominator. Okay, numerator, denominator. Okay, when the numerator is bigger than the denominator, what you're going to do is divide. When the numerator is smaller than the denominator, what you're going to do is reduce. Those are two different things. When the numerator is bigger, you're going to divide. When the numerator is smaller, you're going to reduce. Okay? So first thing you need to know. Get that in your head. Numerator is bigger, I'm going to divide. When the numerator is smaller, I'm going to reduce. Got it? Okay. The second thing you need to know is that when you're subtracting the variable, like here, the larger variable determines where the larger exponent, determines where the variable will end up. The larger exponent will determine if the variable is going to be a denominator or if the variable is going to be a numerator. Okay? The larger exponent determines whether the variable is going to be the denominator or the variable is going to be the numerator. Let me give you an example. Let's do this first equation. Since the numerator is bigger, I know I'm going to divide. 28 divided by 4. The way I find the answer is I ask myself, what times 4 equals 28? Well, my answer is 7. And my sign's positive because both of these are positive. So the number 7, my answer is 7. Now, here, let me erase this. I already did this wrong. So I'm going to have 7. I'm going to have that in the numerator, though, because the numerator is bigger, so I'm going to have it in the numerator. So the answer is 7. Now, I'm going to subtract 2 and 1. But look, the bigger exponent is in the denominator. So I'm going to leave the x. 2 minus 1 is 1, so I'm going to leave the x in the denominator. In the y's, the bigger exponent is in the numerator. So I'm going to subtract my exponents, 3 minus 1, I get y squared. And my variable ends up as my numerator because the bigger exponent was in the numerator. Got it? Okay. If you haven't got it, maybe you'll get it with these next two. Here, my numerator is smaller, so I'm going to reduce. The way I reduce is by finding the largest common factor. Okay, the largest common factor. The largest common factor is the largest number that is a factor of both 4 and 8. Well, in this case, the largest number that is a factor of both 4 and 8 is 4, because 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to divide both of these by the largest common factor. 4 divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. How did I get that answer? Well, I asked myself, what times 4 equals 4? 1. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. I asked myself, what times 4 equals 8? Well, that's 2. So that's how I got my answer. Okay. So that was my largest common factor. I reduced it to 1 over 2. Now I'm going to do my variables. This is to the first power. So I'm going to subtract. 2 minus 1 gives me just x to the first. But since the larger exponent is in the denominator, my variable will stay in the denominator. Here, the y over 2 just cancels out. So my answer is 1 over 2x. Okay? Okay. Here, my signs are different, so I know my answer is going to be negative. Draw my line. The larger exponent is in the denominator, so I know my variable is going to be in my denominator. 4 minus 3 is 1, so it's just going to be x to the first. I do not write with the 1 there. I just leave it as x. And I've got 3 and 5. I'm going to subtract those. My larger exponent is in the denominator, so I know my variable is going to be in the denominator. So 5 minus 3 is 2. Now, if you notice, there's no numerator. Whenever I'm I'm left with no numerator, I just put 1 as my numerator. Okay? Whenever you're left with no numerator, just write a 1 on the top. Okay. Let's try these. Well, first, my signs are different, so I know my answer is going to be negative. Draw my line. Now, see, remember I told you if the numerator is smaller, I reduce, okay? So the numerator is smaller than the denominator because 6 is definitely smaller than 24. So I'm going to reduce. What that means is that I'm going to have to find the largest common factor of 6 and 24. Well, I'm looking at these two numbers and I'm realizing that 6 is actually the largest common factor because 6 times 1 is 6, right? So I'm going to divide this by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. And then I'm going to divide this by 6. And to get my answer, I ask myself, well, what times 6 equals 24? 4. So I'm going to put a 4 here. 6 times 4 equals 24. So that's my answer for my numbers. Now I'm going to do my variables. 3 minus 2 is a to the first, and since the larger exponent is in the bottom, I'm going to leave my variable in the bottom. And then I've got my x's. 3 minus 2 is 1, and since my larger exponent is in my denominator, I'm going to leave x in the denominator. And my answer is 1, 4 times a times x, or negative 1 over 4ax. Hope you're getting the hang of it. Okay. Now this one's a little bit tricky. Nothing times, the reason it's tricky is because nothing times 48 equals 96. Because 2 times 48, oh no wait, I'm sorry, I'm crazy. 2 times 48 equals 96, right? So that means that 96 divided by 48 equals 2, because 2 times 48 equals 96. So my answer is 2. And this is tricky. My answer is 2. And my variables, the exponent, the bigger exponent is in the denominator, so I know my x is going to be in the denominator. 2 minus 1 is just x. And then these y's just cancel out because they equal 1, and 1 times 2 is 1. And that's my answer. Crazy. Thought it was going to be harder than that. Here. The denominator is larger than the numerator, so I'm going to divide. And I'm going to ask myself, what times 7 equals 14? Because that's going to give me the answer to 14 divided by 7. Well, 7 times 2 equals 14, so my answer is 2. And the a's cancel out and the b's cancel out, so that's 2 over 1. When I don't have nothing left in the denominator, I write 1. But 2 divided by 1 equals 2, so my answer is 2. Okay? Hope you understood. Don't worry, if you didn't, you'll have a lot more practice problems in your next book.